Hey, what's up YouTube? Leon here, and today I've been playing Spin Rhythm XD. Probably an unhealthy amount of Spin Rhythm. It wasn't apparent at first. Playing and learning the game has been pretty slow until I started sinking my teeth into user-created content. While I love games like DJ Max and Muse Dash, custom songs breathe life into these indie rhythm games. So after playing through some of these beat maps, I can say that the base game doesn't hold a candle to what the community can cook up. Spin Rhythm at its core is a small indie game. Most likely more than half of their budget was just getting licenses for their song, while the rest was putting it towards a robust gameplay loop. Spin Rhythm in terms of song variety is pretty limited because of it. But after their custom songs update that happened more than a year ago, there has been tons of user-created content to sift through. The only problem was that many custom tracks were kinda hard, to say the least. Not only that, a lot of these beat maps only have one difficulty. So if you wanted to play your favorite song, you had to get good. And in this video, I'm going to try to explain my method of learning Spin Rhythm, so let's get good together. One of Spin Rhythm's greatest strength is how you can play the game in your own way. Whether it may be your typical mouse and keyboard, or MIDI equipment, to analog sticks and motion controls. You yourself can make the best setup for you. The only problem is that Spin Rhythm really favors the default option, mouse and keyboard. While you can get good with different devices, the simplest and most available one is the best in my opinion. In the options, I put all button inputs on the keyboard itself, and having the mouse movement stand alone. Again, these are my most comfortable controls. Just make sure that you are comfortable with yours. Another important option is wheel sensitivity. It's so important, in fact, that you should not change this option too often. Once you find a nice sensitivity, stick to that as much as possible. It's like getting used to a sensitivity in an FPS. If you change it too often, you can't get used to aiming. It's the same with this game. Let's take a look at the General tab, and of course, just like in many other rhythm games, setting the correct audio and video latency. It's a good thing that Spin Rhythms is easy to set up. I also disable the option Clear Notes after misses. I find that this option limits your ability to get better, because it clears the map once you miss a note, not letting you retain any patterns after you miss. In the Audio tab, I'm not a big fan of the audio filters, so I disabled this option as well. The final options to mess with are in accessibility. While these options in other games tend to break things in terms of game balance, in Spin Rhythm, they are more for tweaking visual aspects. The main options to mess with are the track speed override and the note beam length. Track speed is self-explanatory, while note beam length helps you identify which color to focus on. Just tweak these settings to your liking and we can move on to playing. Unlike typical rhythm games, Spin Rhythm's main idea is catching notes of the correct color. These are called taps in this game. Easy enough at lower difficulties, brain-meltingly confusing at higher ones. One of the hardest things to learn is knowing what color to catch at the right time. Throughout my time with the game, it eases you in by not having to move if a color change occurs. In custom songs and harder difficulties, color change could happen anywhere. This is one of the hardest concepts my brain had to grasp. This is where motions and buttons need to be separated in your brain. Kind of like playing two different games at the same time. Half of your focus is on pressing buttons at the right time, while the other focuses on movement. On the topic of movement, spins on higher difficulties become a problem and a blessing. When you spin, you can think of it as a reset to the position of your wheel. 99% of the time, a spin will either go into another spin or end in a tap, resetting your position. So doing spins helps your brain decide the orientation. But where spins become a problem is when they become tiny. The way spins are correctly inputted is how far you move your mouse. While it doesn't require too much movement, not inputting enough will not only mess up your actual spin, but also your orientation, making it a nightmare to reorient. At the end of the day, you can mess up everything else except for a spin. The other huge mechanic is beat notes. Unlike taps, it does not require any movement from the disc. Beat notes are typically tied to the bass of a song. These kind of remind me of the rock band bass drums. While simple, the game likes hiding an extra feature outside of XD mode, and that's hold beats. Because it's locked to XD modes, it's like getting thrown into a pack of wolves. You learn or die. Another big change in terms of typical rhythm games is where you should be looking. Because you control a disc with two separate colors, you need to have a basis of where they are at all times. Things like note beam length help point out where they are without looking down at the disc. I found that looking towards the middle to bottom half of the track to be more beneficial. And as you learn and become more comfortable, you can start looking ahead more often. Before coming into custom songs, let's start with the difficulty jumps. The biggest hurdle when upping difficulty is XD mode itself. It feels like everything before it doesn't compare in terms of difficulty. It's probably because of the added mechanic and everything else on top of it. My biggest advice to you is to keep playing lower difficulty XD songs around the 20 to 25-ish range. If you can find custom songs with multiple difficulties, you can try those out as well. Grinding these out is more about getting accustomed to certain patterns and ideas. This is where I can't really say too much to help. Besides, keep practicing. It's not all hopeless grind. A great thing to help out players is practice mode. On a failed track or end of the song, you can click on these columns to practice a part of the song that you found difficult. A simple system that isn't really seen in other rhythm games. Once you start getting better and better at Spin Rhythm, this is where Spin Rhythm gets interesting. The possibilities keep getting topped the more I play custom songs. New patterns and ideas keep getting added to the mix, making it a more engaging experience every time. The community itself is pushing the engine to its limit. And that's no small part to how robust the game itself is. The Spin Rhythm devs should give themselves a pat on the back for making a gem of a game. And this is where I urge people to get better at the game. It's not only unique and satisfying, it's one of the best rhythm game experiences since K-Shoot Mania. So go out and buy Spin Rhythm for $20. It's a neat game. This is Leon from Humans Play, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.